right, today is Monday, July 28th, 2025, and once again, I am outperforming the NASDAQ, up 1.85% today on a day where the NASDAQ is up slightly over 0.3%. And of course, my Roth IRA is up over 6% on the day, mostly because of AMDL, which is a leveraged AMD ETF, and also REPX a little bit helping out. And if we look at the Roth IRA performance for the week, I am up 15%, for the month over 30%, 3 months over 100%, almost 110, and year to date over 70%. If we take a look at my all-time, I've only deposited about $1,000. I know it says 1,005, but that little $5 and change is, I think it was a promotion. Robinhood a long time ago said they'll give me like an extra $5 if I deposit into my Roth IRA. So that's why it says like 1,005 and change. It looks like my retirement account is doing amazing. If we go back to my investing account for the week, I am up over 3%. For the month, almost 25%. 3 months, 93%. Year to date, 96.67%. Year over year, 226, almost 227. And then, of course, all time, 386%. And if we take a look at my transaction history, I did have that honest buy on the 23rd, and then I bought a little bit more lemonade. I rolled out one of my Palantir contracts, and this was 30 days after my last one, just so I wouldn't have like that loss wash. So I'm really hoping my taxes coming up for next year are not going to be super big. It potentially might be, because I think I had one Palantir roll that was a loss wash. I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm really hoping these Palantir covered calls aren't going to screw up my taxes a whole lot. But then I did buy some more lemonade shares. I did sell 2 Robinhood covered call contracts, bought a little bit more MAA, which is a REIT. And then, of course, I have my upcoming dividends, a really fat one from REPX. And of course, if we look back at my home screen, my 2 Robinhood covered calls are right there, expiring on August 29th at a strike price of $140. And if we take a look at my daily performances, Robinhood doing very well, Nike doing very well, REPX also doing very well. Lemonade surprisingly showing a little bit of weakness before earnings. I still think it's going to go up on earnings, but who knows, it might end up going down. And if it does, I'll have to reevaluate and potentially buy some more shares. And if we take a look at my equity, Robinhood is now $160,000, Nike $41,000, and Pepsi is a little over $19,000. Now, there were only a handful of topics that I wanted to talk about today. The first one I'm just going to get out of the way, and it has to do with Pepsi and Honest. So as you all know, I have talked about in some previous videos of the whole Maha trend. People are a lot more aware now of what ingredients are going into the daily products and foods that they consume every single day. So companies like Honest have been growing, while a lot more old school traditional companies have been either stagnant or declining, just because they haven't caught up with the trends. They still use cheap, very unhealthy ingredients. And unfortunately, one of those companies has been Pepsi. But I do think Pepsi is slowly but surely turning around. If you guys haven't heard on the news, they did announce a new Pepsi prebiotic. And I'm really hoping, and I know hope isn't a strategy, but I'm really hoping that they actually take the whole ingredients list trend seriously, because people aren't falling for these labels anymore that say like heart healthy or 0 sugar or whatever, like all these little health labels to make it seem like a product is healthier than it really is. For example, something might say that it's good for your health, or something might say that it's low sugar, but if you look on the ingredients list, it still has like a lot of BS ingredients. For example, natural flavors, which is almost like a mystery ingredient. Now, obviously, I'm not an expert, I'm not some kind of scientist, but the whole point of me even talking about this, even though most likely no Pepsi executive is watching my YouTube channel, I don't think Pepsi's efforts are going to help turn around the company if they don't take that seriously, because people are paying a lot more attention to ingredients lists, and I actually think it's a good thing. Even though it's painful for Pepsi stock, I do think people paying attention to the ingredients list a lot more is finally going to help people become a lot more healthier. Hopefully, help the country be a lot healthier. And I really hope Pepsi takes that very seriously and stops trying to cheap out, right? Because a lot of these other smaller, lesser known brands are still going viral just because they have very clean ingredients and they're able to quickly go viral due to social media, right? So they don't have to rely on brand names like Coca-Cola or Pepsi, even though it would be nice, right? And branding is still important. They don't have to rely on branding as much anymore just because social media is doing a lot of the marketing for them. So like I said, I know there's like no Pepsi executive that's going to be watching this YouTube video, but I'm just saying what I think. Another topic that I want to briefly go over was surrounding lemonade, and it's kind of like that overall trend of better user experience, like more Gen Z type of companies. Robinhood obviously is like the king right now of all of it, helping democratizing finance, making stock trading and investing a lot simpler, right? Clean user interface, a very enjoyable app to use. And I think Lemonade definitely has the potential to be one of these companies, but more so on the insurance side. If any of you guys have ever used Lemonade, you'll know that Lemonade's app is a lot better than a lot of these older financial insurance companies that have like very antiquated websites and apps. And even though I am not an AI expert, if what I've been seeing on X is true, of them investing heavily into AI and obviously the R&D, then I definitely think Lemonade has the potential to be a major insurance company and financial institution in the future. But also more so on the technical side, I think their share price has been consolidating a very long time. If you guys look on the longer time frames, you'll notice like the moving averages converging, and I believe they already crossed over. But yeah, like I said, my price target long term for Lemonade is still $80 a share. But finally, we'll get to the topic that I wanted to talk about, which isn't really too big of a deal, but it's just something that I noticed on Robinhood's Q&A. So let's go to top voted. So the top voted question right now is, when will Robinhood start paying dividends? And the number 2 question is, since the share price has increased so much, will there be any stock splits? And I think that's a fair question. And number 3 from Scott F is, what's the status on the gold card rollout? Like, it's something that I've been saying in every single video. Like, what is the status on the gold card rollout? Why is it taking so long? And I've also proposed different ways that they could kind of roll out a little bit faster. And one of those ways is, of course, making it a secure card for a lot of gold members, people that want it a lot sooner. They can put up collateral for the gold card, maybe at a very low limit, so they can put up like $200 as collateral and still get all the benefits as a gold member. And then slowly over time, they can either earn that collateral back and just make it a normal credit card, still with all the benefits and everything, with a much higher limit. And of course, for the other gold members with a much higher credit score, much more history with Robinhood, so they're able to see all that data on the app, they can just start them off with a really nice limit. Some of the limits that I've heard rumors swirling around on X and whatnot, Robinhood has been giving people of like $30,000 credit limits, and I'm sure these are like higher net worth people, but I just don't understand how they're rolling out, or I don't understand why they're rolling out all these super high credit limit cards, adding so much risk to the balance sheet, and they're just like overlooking a lot of the smaller users. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm sure the people that work at Robinhood are much smarter than I am, but I guess I just don't understand. But if we switch over to the most shares, you'll notice that number 2 is, please do not issue a dividend. So when it comes to the most amount of votes, it's shareholders saying that they want a dividend. But when it comes to actual shares represented, it's a lot of shareholders saying not to issue a dividend. And this is something that I've kind of touched on in other videos. I know I have more recently in terms of Robinhood kind of splitting, not just from its original message of like democratizing finance, but you have like these two camps, almost like these two like social classes almost, where you have the higher net worth Robinhood users and most likely users that have a lot more shares of Robinhood. So that's how they're able to get this question up to number 2 in terms of most amount of shares, because even though less users voted for that question, they have much more shares in Robinhood. So their questions, it's ranking top 2. But then you have a lot of the smaller users, right? If we switch back to top voted, it has 1,600 votes. And then if we go back to most shares, the please do not issue a dividend only has 616 votes. So people that have less shares of Robinhood and people that have a lower net worth are asking Robinhood to pay a dividend, while people that are much wealthier and most likely at a higher tax bracket are saying, please don't issue a dividend. And if any of you guys that have seen my previous videos will know that I am on the camp of Robinhood paying a dividend, because I think, well, actually not even think, I know that Robinhood is in a much healthier position now than they were many years ago when the stock price was like $8 a share. Tying into that gold card, gold member topic that I just briefly touched on, instead of giving all of these stupid high credit limits and focusing on people or focusing on users that are in that concierge service, right? High net worth clients, giving them super high credit limits on the gold card. Why don't you start issuing smaller balances to gold members that have a lower net worth, people that have been waiting for the gold card for such a long time? Why don't you start catering to these users a little bit more instead of just focusing on that top like 1% concierge service people that are like social media influencers? They're flexing their gold card. They're using that stupid cash delivery thing where you can basically, it's like an ATM but Uber combined. And even though I sound like I'm hating on it a little bit, I do appreciate Robinhood constantly coming out with all these features and services, but the issue is it's only catering to that top 5% of people that use it. Issuing all these gold cards with very high credit limits is also adding a lot of risk to the balance sheet. So all I'm saying is you should start spreading that out to users with a lower net worth at lower credit limits. And if you have to, just to lessen the risk even more, start issuing or start giving an option to get the gold card faster if users put up collateral. But like I said, I'm not an expert, and most likely no one that really has any say in these decisions is watching this video. But I just feel like I have to say what's on my mind, especially when it comes to companies that I own. So if you made it this far in the video, let me know in the comments. And of course, I know a lot of you guys are also Robinhood shareholders, so let me know what you guys think down below. But yeah, I'll stop ranting now.